You woke up this morning. You made your tea. You put on your shoes. You turned the key on your bike or sat in your car. In 30 minutes, you reached your office. The whole thing was so ordinary that you didn't think about it even once. You just did something that would have seemed more unbelievable than magic to your ancestors. You sat inside a metal box without spending any energy from your own body and moved at 50 kilometers per hour. 100,000 years ago, that same distance would have taken you 2 full days. Barefoot. No road, no signboard, no map. Just you, your 2 feet, and unknown danger ahead. Today you can fly from one end of the planet to the other in 24 hours. You press a button on your phone and a car shows up at your door in 5 minutes. You order something from the other side of the world and it arrives at your house. Movement has become so easy that it is basically invisible now. But the beginning of this story was completely different. This story is about your feet, your sweat, your bones. And it is the longest, hardest, most unbelievable journey in all of human history. Let me tell you something you probably don't know. You are the most efficient, long-distance walking creature on this planet. Yes, you. A cheetah can run at 110 kilometers per hour, but only for about 30 seconds. Then it stops, panting, its body overheating. A horse can gallop at 50 kilometers per hour, but after a few miles, it needs to rest too. You can run at a maximum of about 25 kilometers per hour, and even that lasts only a few seconds. In terms of speed, you are nowhere close to any of them. But speed was never your weapon. Your weapon is endurance. You can walk 30 kilometers in a day. Then you can sleep. The next day, another 30 kilometers, and the day after that. And you can keep doing this for weeks. No other large animal on Earth can do that. Why can't they? Because your body is an engineering masterpiece. The arch in the sole of your foot works like a spring with every step. Your Achilles tendon stores energy and releases it with each footfall, so your muscles don't have to carry the entire load. There is a ligament running up the back of your neck that keeps your head stable while your whole body moves underneath it. And you have about 2 million sweat glands across your body. On the African savanna, when lions, hyenas, and deer all stopped because their bodies overheated, you kept walking, sweating your way forward. You were not built to be fast, you were built to never stop. In 1978, paleoanthropologist Mary Leakey made a discovery in Laetoli, Tanzania, that stunned the entire world. A trail of footprints pressed into volcanic ash, 3.6 million years old. 2 individuals walking upright, side by side. The oldest evidence of bipedal walking ever found. And those footprints look almost exactly like yours. 3.6 million years ago, your ancestor walked in the same posture you use today when you walk down the street. For millions of years, that was the only transportation technology in existence. And somehow, it was enough to conquer the entire planet. About 70,000 years ago, some humans left Africa. This was not a single event. No leader stood up and said, "Let's go." It happened over thousands of years, generation after generation. One group moved a little further. Their children moved a little further. Their grandchildren pushed even further. They crossed the Middle East. They spread across Asia. They entered Europe. They walked through the bone-chilling cold of Siberia. Then, when sea levels dropped and a land bridge formed between Alaska and Asia, they crossed it and entered the Americas. And they didn't stop. They walked from North America all the way to the southern tip of South America, roughly 25,000 kilometers, without knowing the destination even existed. And what most people don't know is that they were not walking randomly. Archaeologists have found obsidian stone tools made near volcanoes hundreds of kilometers away from their source. Seashells have been found deep in the interior of continents. Amber has been found on the other side of mountain ranges. These people were covering massive distances on purpose, for trade, for building relationships, for finding specific resources they knew existed because someone had told them. This was not aimless wandering. This was networking on foot. Walking works brilliantly until something blocks the path. You can walk across a desert. You can walk over a mountain pass. But a river? A river stops you dead. And rivers were everywhere. On every migration route, every hunting ground, every trade path. For hundreds of thousands of years, a body of water was basically a wall. Either you found a shallow crossing, or you turned around. Then humans learned something that no other land animal has ever figured out: how to cross water on purpose. In 2003, archaeologists on the island of Flores in Indonesia found stone tools dating back roughly 800,000 years. The problem is that Flores has never been connected to the mainland. Even during the lowest sea levels of the ice ages, there was always at least 20 kilometers of open ocean between the island and the nearest land. That means only one thing: someone made the crossing. What did they use? We don't know. Wood rots. Bamboo decomposes. Whatever they floated on is long gone. But the tools are there, which means the crossing happened. The first boats were probably nothing at all: a fallen tree trunk, some reeds tied together. It was discovered, not invented. Someone grabbed a floating log to cross a stream and didn't drown. That was the breakthrough moment. But what happened next was deliberate. About 65,000 years ago, humans crossed from Southeast Asia to Australia. That crossing required sailing at least 100 kilometers of open ocean. You cannot see Australia from the other side. You cannot drift there by accident. Someone built something that could float, pointed it toward water they couldn't see across, and paddled. Think about that for a moment. They left solid ground without knowing if there was anything on the other side. And then the Polynesians did something that borders on insanity. Starting about 3,000 years ago, they began crossing the Pacific Ocean, the largest body of water on Earth. They built double-hulled canoes. They loaded them with food, animals, and entire families. Then, they sailed thousands of kilometers, navigating by reading the stars, the direction of ocean swells, the way birds flew, and the color of clouds near land. No compass, no map, just observations so precise that modern navigators are still impressed by them. They reached Hawaii. They reached Easter Island. They reached New Zealand. Every habitable island in the Pacific received human footprints. Some of those voyages covered more than 4,000 kilometers of open water, with absolutely nothing in between. Walking conquered land. Boats conquered water. But there was still a problem nobody had solved. You can walk 30 kilometers, but you cannot walk 30 kilometers carrying a 100-kilogram dead animal on your shoulders. For most of human history, the limitation on transportation was not distance, it was weight. You could only move what your body could carry. And your body starts breaking down after about 20 to 25 kilograms. So humans started cheating. The first attempt was dragging. You kill something big, throw it on a hide, and drag it back to camp. We know they did this because archaeologists have found wear marks on ancient hides that only appear when something heavy has been dragged a long distance. Then someone came up with a better idea: the travois. Two long poles tied together in a V-shape with a platform slung between them. You drag the narrow end, the wide end carries the load. The weight gets distributed, and just like that, one person could move 50 kilograms or more. The fascinating thing about the travois is that it might be one of the oldest cargo-carrying methods humans ever used, but it was made of wood and leather, so almost none of them survived. The only reason we know it existed is because people were still using it when Europeans arrived in the Americas thousands of years later. But the real revolution in moving weight was not something you could build. It was something alive. About 15,000 years ago, humans domesticated dogs, the first animal we ever partnered with. And one of the first jobs we gave them was hauling weight. In the Arctic, dogs pulled sleds across ice and snow. A single dog can pull about 20 kilograms. A team of 6 could move an entire family's camp. But dogs are small. We needed something bigger. About 5,500 years ago, on the grasslands of what is now Kazakhstan, humans figured out the horse. We know this because of a group called the bow tie. Archaeologists found wear marks on horse teeth from bits. Someone had been putting something in that animal's mouth to control it. They found traces of mare's milk baked into pottery. These were not people who hunted horses. They rode them, milked them, and built their entire lives around them. And the horse changed everything. For 300,000 years, the fastest a human could travel was about 6 kilometers per hour, walking speed. On a horse, that became 50. In a single generation, the human world became 8 times smaller. Suddenly, what used to take weeks took days. Messages moved faster. Trade routes stretched further. The nature of warfare changed forever because an army on horseback could reach you before you even knew they were coming. Donkeys hauled goods through deserts. Camels made it across the Sahara. Reindeer dragged sleds through Arctic snow. Llamas carried cargo over the Andes Mountains. Wherever humans showed up, they found whatever animal fit the environment and put it to work. Now here is a fact that doesn't make sense at first. Humans crossed every ocean on Earth before anyone invented the wheel. The oldest known wheel was found in the Ljubljana marshes of Slovenia, roughly 5,200 years old. That is it. Boats go back at least 10,000 years and probably much further. Horses were tamed 5,500 years ago. Humans had already sailed to Australia 60,000 years before the wheel even existed. The wheel was one of the last major transportation inventions, not the first. And it didn't even start as transportation. The first wheels were for making pottery, a spinning disc to shape clay. At some point, somebody looked at that disc and turned it on its side. What if you put something on top of it? The first wheeled vehicles were slow, heavy, solid wood wheels that cracked on rough ground and got stuck in mud. A horse without a cart was honestly faster than a horse pulling one. But about 4,000 years ago, someone figured out the spoked wheel. Lighter, stronger, and much faster. And now you had chariots. Speed and cargo at the same time. Roads came after that. The first paved road we know of was built in the city of about 6,000 years ago. And once you had wheels and roads and horses all working together, you finally had something that looked like a real transportation system. Trade exploded. Empires became possible. You could move armies and supplies hundreds of kilometers without everything falling apart. The wheel, the horse, the road. That combination is what built every civilization you have ever heard of. So here is the full picture. For 300,000 years, humans had nothing but their own 2 legs, and they walked across the entire planet with them. They hit water and figured out how to float. They needed to carry more, so they learned how to drag. Then they built frames. Then they partnered with animals. They tamed the horse, and the world became smaller overnight. They invented the wheel, and it became smaller again. Every single one of those breakthroughs took thousands of years, and every single one was built on top of what came before it, solving problems that would have seemed impossible to anyone from an earlier age. And now? Now you sit on a paved road in a metal box, doing 100 kilometers per hour, and you call it a commute. You fly 5,000 kilometers over an ocean in 6 hours, and you are annoyed the Wi-Fi is slow. You have a machine in your pocket that can summon a car to your exact location in 4 minutes, and you are irritated when it takes 5. Your ancestors walked barefoot for 25,000 kilometers across continents they could not name, to reach places they had never seen. They did it because they had to, because standing still meant dying. We solved the problem of distance so completely that we forgot it was ever a problem at all. Every highway, every airport, every set of train tracks on this planet exists because 300,000 years ago, someone looked at the horizon and started walking. They didn't know where they were going. They went anyway. And that is the most human thing that has ever happened.